this is Mrs. Martin, and of course, I am here to talk with you about books. So excited to talk with you about these books today. We've got lots of good ones to share. Before we get into the books with, this book talk, I wanted to just mention that on the book talk presentations, we want to provide for you the title and author of each book in the top left corner. The reason for doing so is so that, of course, you can see which books we're talking about, but also in case you are keeping track of books that you're wanting to read, maybe books you want to think about at a later time. If you're keeping a list of books, anything like that, it's just easy and available for you. And of course, when you are going to search for books in the library, you do want to search by the author's last name. So I've pointed that out there at the top. There, of course, is a picture of the book cover on the slide so that it's easy for you to find when you go down to the shelves. And speaking of the shelves, in the top right corner of the slide, you'll see that the genre is located there. In this case, we've got a mystery book. And we do that so that you can see the genre sign that you would be looking for in the library. It matches exactly what you'd see on the side of the shelves. So if I were looking for this book in the library collection, I'd go down to the library. I'd look for the sign on the side of the shelves that it had mystery, and it had that question mark that is on that purple sign. And then once I got to the mystery shelves, I would be looking in the M authors for McNeil. With that information moving forward, let's go ahead and get started with a couple of good books for you to think about in this month's book talk. The first one I have to share with you today is called Planet Middle School by Nikki Grimes. This one is such a great book, I think, especially for those who are just thinking about how the transition from elementary to middle school can be, a little bit bumpy. There are great things about starting middle school, and there are also things that are unexpected. Nikki Grimes just nails that. In this realistic fiction book, written as a novel in verse, so written in that poetry type style, telling the story, Jolynn, our 12-year-old main character, feels like her life was just fine before. She loves playing basketball, especially with her friend Jake. She is someone who, doesn't really fix herself up in terms of, trying to look a certain way. She just dresses to feel comfortable. Baggy jeans, a ponytail in her hair. She's good to go. She's ready to get out on the court, school all the guys, no problem. Well, her world is suddenly turning upside down now that middle school is where she's spending her time. Everything feels like it's changing all at once. Suddenly, her best girlfriend is now flirting with her best guy friend. What in the world? Her clothes seem all wrong. Even Jake, her friend, is acting weird, and basketball isn't the same. Why can't everything go back to the way it was before? Why does everything have to be different? She feels like she is on an entirely different planet. Try out this book, Planet Middle School by Nikki Grimes. Loved this one, and I know that you will too. The Undrowned by K.R. Alexander. This one in mystery is certain to hold your attention. This author is fabulous for every kind of creepy, eerie, spooky kind of read. And you can see from the cover of this book, this author knows exactly what he's doing when it comes to writing a story that's going to just grab you from the beginning. Samantha and Rachel used to be friends, really good friends, in fact. But then Rachel did something to betray Samantha. Samantha decided she was going to make Rachel's life a living nightmare. But one day, the two of them found themselves in this giant fight, and it got physical by a lake. They're pushing, they're shoving, and Samantha pushes Rachel into the lake and watches as Rachel falls back into the water, down, down, down. No way that Rachel survived that. She couldn't swim. There's no way she could be alive. But the next day, when Samantha's sitting at school, Rachel shows up as if nothing happened. How is that possible? You've got to read The Undrowned to find out. Check this one out in mystery. You'd go to the A authors. Alexander is who you'd be looking for. If this one is not on the shelf and you don't want to put it on hold or you don't want to wait, you could look for any others by this author. They are all worth the read. Graphic novels are, of course, so wildly popular, and this one is almost always off the shelf. Twins by Varian Johnson is so much fun, and I will let the book trailer do the work here in telling us a little about the story. Such a fun one for those that might have a sibling or even a really good friend who you've ever felt a little bit competitive with. Check this one out. It's Twins by Varian Johnson and the fabulous illustrator Shannon Wright. For this, you'd go to the graphic novel shelves and look under the J's. Oh gosh, back to something a little bit creepy again. Skeleton Man by Joseph Bruchac. In fantasy, we are looking for a story of mystery, a story of, something spooky. This is such a short read, but it is just packed from even the very first couple of words with things that make you wonder and things that make you just question what could be going on. Ever since the morning that Molly woke up to find her parents had disappeared, her life has become filled with questions, terrible questions. Where have her parents gone? Who is this spooky old man who has taken her to live with him and is claiming that he is her great uncle? Why does he never eat? And why does he lock her in her room at night? My gosh, I can only imagine. What are her dreams of the skeleton man trying to tell her? Well, there's lots of things that Molly doesn't know, and there is one thing she does know. It's that she has to find some answers before it's too late. Read this very quick fantasy read, Skeleton Man. Look under the B authors for this one to find out who is the skeleton man, what has happened to Molly's parents, why is this man claiming to be Molly's great uncle keeping her locked away. You'll find all the answers and more in this book. For something more lighthearted, the Last Kids on Earth series by Max Brallier in humor could be your next pick. If you have already read everything Big Nate and Diary of a Wimpy Kid, this would be a great series to read. This is also already a Netflix series, so if you feel like this sounds familiar, that might be why. I loved this. This is the story of Jack Sullivan. He's 13 and he's your average kid, except, oh yeah, it's the end of the world. It's him and a few kids left on Earth, and they are fighting off zombies and giant monsters, living in a treehouse that is basically full of Mountain Dew and Oreos, and they're trying to survive off of that while fighting off these giant creatures. Sounds like maybe a story that could be like a horror movie, but it's not. Instead, it is absolutely hilarious. And you've got to read the book to find out. Between Jack, his dorky best friend, the middle school bully who suddenly has decided he's going to be kind of a nice guy, Jack's crush, June, is in this story too. Find out how all of them team up together to fight off all of these zombie-type monsters and this really strangely smart monster known as Blarg. This is the first book in the series, but we have the whole collection, and it is just so much fun. Again, if you loved Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Big Nate, this has got to be your next series. Check out book 1 on our shelves or any of the others if you've already read some in the series. My last one to share with you today is Stolen Children by Peg Carrot. A lot of times we get kids in the library asking for a good kidnapping story. And this is one of my first recommendations because this author knows how to write a suspenseful story. This is another short read. It moves fast. Amy in our story has learned a lot about being a babysitter. She took one of those babysitting classes, knows first aid, CPR, things like that. When she goes to babysit Kendra, she feels like she kind of knows everything she needs to know. She wasn't, though, taught what to do if, two men come along and decide to kidnap her and the person that she's babysitting. Well, that's what happens. These men come along, they take Amy and Kendra to this cabin up in the woods. They take a video of the girls to mail the video to Kendra's parents, who, by the way, have a lot of money, and they are trying to use that video as a way to get ransom money. They're hoping that Kendra's parents want Kendra back so badly that they're going to give lots of money in order to, have their daughter back safe and alive. Well, nothing happens. They're waiting. Nothing's occurring. Amy decides, as the babysitter and as the older person here, she's got to do something. She tries lots of different escape attempts to get out of this situation. She and Kendra do a lot of problem solving around it. And you've got to read this to find out how they try to get away from these men who've kidnapped them. Why did they do this? Are they going to make it out alive? Read the book Stolen Children to find out. It is in the adventure section, not mystery, adventure. And you'd go to K Authors for Carrot. Just a reminder to you, you can do all of your own browsing on the iPad as well by going to the Destiny Discover site. Remember that you have that on your iPad off of our library homepage. Remember that you can do some browsing yourself by looking at that top banner of books. Right now, we've got some spooky stories. You can also look by genre. So do take some time to do some shopping on there as well. In case any of the books I shared today weren't a hit for you, you can absolutely look for other books that might be of interest. Thank you so much for your attention. Happy reading.